So let's go around the weekend in Major League Baseball and show you some notable weekend series and how things stacked up. The Guardians, a stunner yesterday at home in Cleveland, walking it off in the bottom of the 10th. It entered that 10th and extra inning, tied at 5. The Yankees scored 2 in the top of the 10th. The Guardians played 3 in the bottom of the 10th, and they avoid the sweep with an 8-7 victory. The Astros win a series. That's big in the in-state showdown and the ALCS matchup from a year ago against their divisional foe in the Texas Rangers. The Astros getting on the board, and a big one DRS yesterday in Baltimore. The Orioles do win the finale 6-4 over the Brewers, but Milwaukee off to a great start. They win the weekend set on the road in Camden Yards.
Yeah, a lot of teams here. And again, this is why it's topsy-turvy the month of April. We're not even saying that like Milwaukee wasn't supposed to be a decent baseball club this year. But anytime you can catch that momentum here from April and sort of parlay that into May and June, the longer you play good baseball, the more that team is going to buy in and also show your ownership group that, hey, if we need some pieces to the puzzle here to make a wild card run or maybe win the division, help us out at this point. But also, let's get back to that Yankees game. 8-7 victory. We thought maybe the Yankees would come away with that win. They were 12-3 heading into that game yesterday. Now, granted, entering into the regular season outside of spring training, I didn't have high hopes for the Yankees with how many injuries that they seem to be piling up. But the one bright spot here by far, how about Anthony Volpe now in that leadoff spot, Ben? 3 of 4 yesterday, now hitting 382 on the season. You're telling me this kid could bat above 300 at the top of that lineup and set the table for Soto, Judge, and Stanton when they really start hammering away? I love to see this, man. The Yankees right now, who for me, again, coming out of spring training, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm really impressed by them, even with that loss yesterday.
Game-tying RBI from Anthony Volpe in the ninth inning to send it to extras. And despite the Pinstripes losing to Cleveland in Cleveland and not pulling off the sweep, they have won every one of their series to start this season. And the Yankees have the best record around the bigs at 12-4. 3 teams in each league have double-digit wins. In the American League, it's the Yankees, and then 2 in the American League Central. The Guardians, who knocked off the Yanks yesterday, and the Kansas City Royals, who are 10-6. Now, the Royals do not win the series against the New York Mets, but still off to a 10-6 start and have won 8 of their previous 10 games. 3 teams in the National League have also won double-digit games. The Dodgers have played the most games so far in Major League Baseball. They're 11-7. They lose to the San Diego Padres yesterday in that, or they win in the, they lost yesterday in the series finale, Jurickson Profar, 3 RBI bases clearing double in the 7th to push the Padres in front. San Diego wins the weekend set over LA. We'll get to the Braves and the Marlins in just a moment. The Pirates, one of those other teams at double-digit wins in the National League, 11 for the Buccos, and the Brewers, who we showed you, 10 wins so far this year. But the Pirates take 2 of 3 in the Commonwealth battle on the road in Philadelphia this weekend.
Yeah, the weekend was nice because it was a 4-game setup here that the Phillies won that first set. So you were hoping that the Phillies could use some of that lightning in a bottle, which they had on the road by winning back-to-back series. But that wasn't the case. Like, Pittsburgh is a really good team right now and playing great baseball. And also, from the counterpoint for the Philadelphia Phillies, this is what they do. If they're not hitting home runs early in the season, they don't score runs. Doesn't matter who's pitching for them or what type of performance they're getting out of their bullpen. They just don't hit all that well until the weather comes around. But I like where the Buccos are, 11-5 overall in the season. You're waiting for them to bring up some superstar pitcher that's down in the minor leagues that they're going to say, hey, forget about our good start. We don't want to pay this guy a year earlier, which would be like 2030. It's amazing here how that turns out, but good for Pittsburgh. I just have a feeling where their ownership group isn't going to help them out and do the right thing, though. So here we are.
Yeah, his name rhymes with Schmal Skeens, if you want to say it like that. And we talked to the guy that called his start last week in AAA in Indianapolis, Jack McMullen, at the end of last week. It's Paul Skeens, by the way, who DRS is alluding to. That was the 4th and final game of a 4-game set, to Donnie's point, so split evenly, excuse my mistake there, between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. I can't get anything right with the city of Philly this weekend in the world of sports. Tyrese Maxey did play in the regular season finale for the 76ers in the victory over the Brooklyn Nets. So a big victory yesterday for the Atlanta Braves. Listen, the Marlins just struggling. 3-13, 1-9 at home in South Florida. They were up 7-6 in the bottom of the 9th top of the ninth, couple of runners on, down to the final strike of the game. And Marcell Ozuna had other ideas for the Braves. He goes yard, 3-run bomb. The Braves win 9-7. But with some good, now has some confirmation of bad. Spencer Strider, who entered the year as the very short favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award and the ace in Atlanta, underwent UCL surgery in his right elbow. That's virtually Tommy John. He will miss the remainder of 2024.
Like, nobody ever roots for injuries, and Strider was maybe the best pitcher in the National League, and I thought he'd be able to win the Cy Young Award this year. But having said that, if you are a better, which means you like to bet RBI props and totals, the Braves are your team, because no longer do they have a dominant front-end pitcher, and they will out-hit you regardless of who your pitcher is on the mound. Every game, it feels like the Braves have a chance to get 10 runs in their games here.
Yeah.
Moving forward, you better be circling those RBI props down there in hot Atlanta.
Yeah, the offense is still very good for the Braves.